G'day folks, welcome back to Enshrouded, and welcome back to Wistful Fields, obviously. We are just in the ruined structure, which will eventually become our own home. But in the previous episode, we did sort of complete the dwelling that we're currently constructing. There's probably a little bit more to do in the attic to try and, you know, close off one side of it, but that doesn't really mean that we can't begin to use the space already. And in fact, that's probably one of our main focuses of today's episode. We are going to house people. We do have bits of furniture as well, which I've obviously been storing for quite a while. And I've also picked up a few other bits and pieces that we've had lying around at the old home as well. I'm not entirely sure if we're going to use everything, but we'll see how we go. Now, in terms of housing people though, I would say that we might want to prioritize some of the assistants and get them housed first. I don't really have any sort of rhyme or reason of who's going to go where, provided that the assistants go first, because, you know, they're doing a little bit of heavy lifting, so perhaps maybe they get a little bit more space. That's sort of what I was thinking. So the other thing that I might want to consider is just the amount of space that we've created for ourselves. So obviously the rooms in the middle here are a little bit smaller, and you know, whoever is going to get rooms in the middle are, you know, going to be getting the short end of the stick, so to speak. But we may actually have too many rooms for the amount of people that we have. So that is why we're going to focus on just the, let's call them the outer rooms first. And then we figure out whether or not we actually need these rooms, because if we don't, what we could end up doing is we could end up just widening the amount of space that we have for each person, and therefore giving them a little bit more space to work with, which obviously will be nice for everyone. Anyway, let us get people in, and let's assign them to beds. Too far from the survivor spawn position. Okay, right. So I suppose I should just put the person here, and then I can just assign them in this bed. There we go. Alright. Moving on. Next, we have Lady Leclerc. So Lady Leclerc can just be spawned there, and there we go. Assigned. Next, we've got Aunt Braylon. So Aunt Braylon goes there. She gets that bed. And then Fenrig Mills Jr.
Hello.
So I believe these guys can also be I guess assigned to a specific location, and then you might be able to control whether or not they move around, if I'm not mistaken. I can't remember if that's a thing, because, you know, you could essentially have it so that different people don't really move around and they just stick to one position, for instance, which could be useful in one way or another, right? So perhaps maybe one more assistant can go at the very top here.
Hi.
So Galen can go there. And, oh, Galen... Why do we not have a bed for Galen? I think I was playing around with beds because I wanted to get a screenshot without the bed in it or something like that, so let me just figure out the orientation here. Yeah, I think that's decent enough. It is clipping a little bit, isn't it? But yeah, let's chuck Galen into that bed. And now it's all about... Oh yeah, here, it's roaming range. So you can set the roaming range, and you can set it to 0, and they would just permanently be sitting somewhere, which I don't really think that's a good idea. I like the idea of these guys being able to roam a little bit. In fact, I might need to, I guess, respawn a lot of these people so that they're roaming quite a bit more. And I don't mind people roaming around and me not being able to find them. That's not a problem because we can always respawn them anyway. So, villagers are going in next. So, Hannah, hey, let's chuck you there. And we've got 3 more folks who will occupy the middle section here. But we definitely have too much space now, I feel. So we've got heaps of spare rooms. Hey. Because we're at our last person, and if I do the thing that I just mentioned, which is to, you know, break down some of the walls and get rid of the middle rooms altogether, then we will still have one empty room over here anyway. So, is that what we want? I think maybe making the call on getting rid of the rooms might be a little bit too early. The reason why I say that is because you never know what new updates may bring, and the fact that perhaps these people may have other friends, other family that we need to try and recover, and therefore, you know, we might have a need for more rooms. I was initially thinking... Sorry guys, just had to mute myself there for a second. It's a huge coughing fit. Excuse me. So, I was thinking that we didn't have enough room, and perhaps maybe I was going to have to build another home over here, getting rid of some of these trees and stuff. But that doesn't seem to be the case. We've got enough space for absolutely everyone, apparently. So, now we should be able to focus on trying to get the other materials to upgrade the flame. But I don't think that's something that we're going to really be doing in this episode, and instead we're going to focus quite heavily on decorating a little bit, and also we are going to, I would say, start figuring out how we utilize the space, which we've already made in the second home that we built. I'm just trying to get rid of some of the hovering sections here, but I'm probably going to keep the ones that we have going on this side, because we are not completely done with the build of the house. There's a few bits and pieces that we need to figure out, so we'll definitely do that. Oh... What are you doing down there? I guess we are giving them the freedom to roam around, so that's okay. We'll let him do his thing. Hello. But I guess the next thing really is figuring out how we use all of the furnishings that we currently have here in the inventory. I don't think it's going to take us too long. People will need you know, various tables and whatnot. So let's start with maybe the side table here. I do want to tailor certain things to the person in question that is occupying the room. But I think there are some standard things that almost everyone would probably want to have, right? Like this, for instance. Is there perhaps maybe a better table we can put in here? Wooden table. I'm keen on giving people, like, desks that they might, you know, sit at. So, even something like that. Although, we don't really have a lot of space for, you know, a chair that would sit behind it. I suppose the chair can clip behind the door if it needs to. I'm okay with that. But yeah, let's take a look at other stuff that we might want to place down. So nightstand. I do like the carved wooden nightstands. They do look quite nice. Let's maybe do... Should we rotate it slightly? I don't know, that seems a little off, doesn't it? Let's just do... Or I could just do a slight rotation and then place it there. That doesn't seem too bad. And yeah, Fenrig Mills. I guess maybe it's a little too early for us to decide on what other knickknacks should go in here based on the person occupying the room. So let's not get bogged down too much on that front. Okay, that seems fine to me. Yes, I'm giving them a smaller desk here just because the space is a little bit smaller. No one is occupying this one for the moment, and that's fine. We'll still try and get some furnishings in where appropriate. This person will have a very rustic looking table here. Perhaps maybe just in this corner. Alright, and then we've got these tables. These tables are quite large, aren't they? Would they work as desks? Possibly. Alright. One more. Probably not for the middle room, to be fair. Okay, looking good. We've got window frames. Normal wooden window frames, I think. I might not be using either of these, just because they don't really have the style that I'm looking for. So, probably a good time for us to speak to Cade, to be honest. Have a look at what he can make. And try to see if I can make a few more desks, and we definitely need some chairs, so...
Hey! Welcome, friend!
And yeah, maybe it's not a bad idea to start thinking about some of the other nicer looking pieces of furniture here. Bedside tables. Maybe we'll get a couple of those. A couple of these. A tavern counter. Interesting. Do we have a bar? Or I guess maybe you could just construct a bar from all of the blocks that we have. That's also a possibility. Although, I don't think we've really made anything that looks remotely like a tavern. But it would be a kind of a nice idea to have something like that. I am really keen on trying to get some of the armchairs and sofas. But we will need some warm padding and a bit of wool. So perhaps maybe we can have a chat with Athlan. See if that's a possibility to make. Or at least we can make enough. I don't know what we want to go with. Polished wooden chairs or just normal wooden chairs. I guess we can have a mix of both. Let me have a look at our inventory. Okay.
Let me craft you something.
Let's do 3 of those, 3 of those. We probably need more, but that's okay. We'll come back. Let's do some wooden side tables. I think we could do with a couple of those. Carved nightstands, a couple of those as well. Maybe... Oh, okay, we don't have backpack space. I suppose what I could do is stash some of the construction blocks, because we're probably not going to need those anymore, except for I might retain the roof tiles, because if there's anything that needs working on, it'd be the attic and the bespoke window that we might construct for it. This bed that I have in my inventory, I probably don't need either. And as I said, I don't think the window frames that we have are the ones that we want to use, so we'll stash those. So let's get a few more bits and pieces.
Let me craft you something.
So a couple more of the wooden tables, maybe 3 of them. And what else? What else might be good? Stone side tables might not be a bad thing to have as well. I'm running out of string, actually. And I like the idea of having these firefly lamps, although I'd prefer just using those on tables where we can. So let's just have a look. We do have the space to carry more stuff. Now let me just see if I can fetch some string. Yeah, we've got tons of string here already being prepared. Might need to throw some more wool in there.
Hey.
Oh, hello.
Let me just quickly harvest some wool. No, I didn't mean to pet these guys. Actually, these guys have run out of food. I guess they're not really giving us the wool that we need now. I'm gonna need to make some food as well. And it's never ending, this game. There we go. And what about this stuff here, the raw wool? Do we need anything that requires just normal raw wool? I feel like we always have to refine it. Anyway, I'll drop it in. And at the same time, I can probably speak to Athalan here. About... warm padding. Yeah, so we need a little bit of refined wool, which we do have some. But we are running low on resin. So, interesting. But now that we've done that, we should be able to make ourselves some of those couches that look really, really comfortable. So, I am kind of keen on getting, you know, at least one of them. I don't know how big I want it, though. I can go with the very big one, but then if I don't have the space, I'm going to have to reduce down to getting this one instead. How much do we need? 12. Look, let's get that. And then I'm going to need to make some more warm padding. But let's hope that the big one does the trick. Yeah, it's bustling here. You know, if there's anything that I have forgotten to do, to be honest, it is the staircase, and actually completing the entire staircase, because we can still, like, fall, you know, from the sides, which is not ideal, obviously. Can I get you to move out of the way, please? Yeah, people are just dropping, dropping from the sides. Not exactly ideal. That's fine, we'll correct that. So, Hannah, if I can get you to just step away for a second. And let's get this sofa in. Oh my god, come on, man. You gonna move? Wow. Yeah, I mean, the big one definitely works. So, do we want to leave the sofa here for now, or do we want to use that for the ground floor initially? I think the ground floor could do with the sofa first. We can come back to building a few more, but I like the idea of sort of this side of the building where the fireplaces are and where the warmth is for, you know, people to be hanging out and, you know, relaxing, all that sort of jazz. So, looks good, but we've got a whole bunch of other pieces of furniture to think about, so let's get to it. We've got stone side tables, which... do we use these just for the stone beds? Maybe. It makes sense thematically, doesn't it? So we can maybe just place that there. And another one maybe right here. And what else do we have? We've got bedside tables, polished ones. Yeah, I think I can probably put one over here. We haven't thought about shelving and bookcases and stuff like that, so, you know, if we do need to move around some of the furniture, we shall. I'm not married to, you know, the idea of having things that I've placed down permanently in that position. But I think maybe we can add a chair there. A nice rustic looking chair. Maybe we can put a polished one over here. Maybe another polished one here. And regular old chair here. And I think maybe we can do one of our new boreal style bedside tables. Yep, looks cool. Yeah, I like the idea of having a bit of a mix of stuff in each of the rooms. You don't have to stick with one style, I suppose. Do we have enough furnishings so far? I think so. Maybe this room can do with one additional table. Something like that. Right. Definitely gonna have to have a chat with Cade a little bit more to get more stuff.
Hello.
Hang on a sec. Oh yes, this is gonna be the bathroom, so nothing in there just yet. Okay. So why do I not have, like, big tables? I guess I've got these polished wooden tables. Oh, I've made too many polished wooden tables, I think. There we go. It is a little bit dark, though, so I'm just gonna have a sleep right now, just to speed up time. Get a little bit more sunlight in here. Though arguably, I mean, there's definitely a need for a little bit more light everywhere, to be honest. What is this? What's going on here? Oh, okay, there's a little detail there that I've forgotten to break down. Okay. And I suppose maybe a nightstand would be good. Maybe on this side, actually. Yeah, it's good to see people are actually using the beds, but not everyone uses their beds for whatever reason. I'm gonna want to try and make myself some regular wooden tables at some point. So I feel like we're missing that option. In fact, I might do that now, to be fair. Just so that we can mix things up a little bit. I wonder if that's something that I need to construct myself, or if I need Cade for that. Where is the man? Yeah, our attic up here is also still pretty empty, isn't it? Like, I could have perhaps divided some space in the attic and then placed people in there to sleep. But yeah, we had to go with a new residence completely. That's alright, I'm pretty happy with it though, to be honest. And I mean, like, what? That's our 4th time constructing a residence, so I feel like I'm getting the hang of, you know, constructing new places. Cade.
Yoo-hoo!
There he is.
Look what I have to offer.
Okay, so... yeah, we could construct some of these chairs as well, mix things up with a few of the boreal wood chairs. Tables. Here, I'm definitely missing some wooden tables. Again, running out of resin though, so that's gonna be a problem for us.
My pleasure.
But I don't think we're going to be continuing our decoration for too much longer. And we are likely going to be shifting gears, because the basement in the second place that we've constructed needs a bit of attention, and there is actually still one person who hasn't been assigned a bed to sleep in, and that is, I forget his name, Olden? The creepy guy. The guy who's fascinated with undead stuff. And relics and the like. So, yeah, we gotta get him housed. And it has always been my intention to house him within the second home. Yeah, that seems decent. And then we do bookcases and the like, but we're gonna need some resin for bookcases. So let's do a nightstand. Are we done with this floor? Maybe. Well, we can always make some more stuff when we need to. Now, I might try and avoid placing anything on this wall because, as I've mentioned in the past, because this is double the thickness, we're probably going to carve out certain sections of it to accommodate like bookcases that are, you know, 1 block deep into the wall, if that makes sense. I think it'll make a lot more sense when I actually do it, and you guys will be able to see exactly what I'm trying to achieve. Whoops. We are just wanting to straighten this up a little bit. And that seems like a decent enough spot for a desk. Yes, the roof is kind of obstructing it a little bit. We do a table. We could do a table there. I don't know. That looks a little weird to me. Let's remove that. I definitely made myself too many polished wooden tables. Maybe one of these on this side. Could do with a nightstand, maybe. Well, let's come back to that. I think for this room, what I might do is I'll place the desk on this side. And what do we do with chairs? Maybe we'll do one of these. So I've got a couple of spare chairs, actually, which I haven't placed down. Come to think of it, I should do that. Probably some of the other rooms could do with some chairs as well. Yeah, looks good. So, I think maybe we should address some lighting as well. I think I've got enough to make a few more candles. But I also want a few of the rooms to have the firefly lights, whatever you call those. Decorative. These, yeah, firefly lamps. But let's do a few of these first, and then a few... Well, I can only make one firefly lamp, apparently. I really haven't been very diligent in trying to find fireflies, so I mostly skip the nights. Maybe we need to come back to the lighting, to be honest, and I might stash this away for the time being, because I would like a few more before we decide who gets candles and who gets firefly lamps. And speaking of candles, we could probably make like some better versions of the candles as well, instead of the ones just sitting on the little plates. But anyway, so I am very happy with what we've managed to do with the home so far. If anything, perhaps maybe we could try to get some like windows in. So let me just take a look at our options on that front. Also, one thing I didn't consider is stone bedside tables. So maybe I can craft a couple. We could place 2 or so down, and then we can sort of shift some of the other, you know, nightstands that we have to other rooms. But yeah, let's see if we can get ourselves some... Oh, hang on. Handrails. No. You're joking. I do not recall seeing this at all. This is definitely new. Very interesting indeed. For the sake of, like, playing around with it, I'm just gonna craft a couple, and we'll have a look at how we can utilize it, because my initial thought of the staircase is I'm just gonna, you know, block all of the sides off. But if we can have it open in some way, that might be nice. This is what I'm looking for here. So... I don't know about having iron window frames. It feels kind of jail-y. Granite window frames. I mean, could be nice. Though it'd be kind of weird for some sections of the home to suddenly have a little bit of granite. I think we're going to stick with the carved wooden window frames. We've got plenty of nails, quite a lot of wood logs. No need for resins this time, so we should be able to get these in. So yeah, let's continue. I was gonna say we could pivot right now to the basement of the second building, but Okay, so let's maybe start with this first. I do hear the enemy nearby doing stuff. I don't know if they're causing an issue for us or... Let's just get rid of them, just in case, you know. Another thing that I should do, actually, is to... just play around with this. Maybe take away a few blocks. Okay. Looks decent. Let's continue. Sorry, getting sidetracked. I wonder if we could argue for, you know, some stone versions of the windows on this side. Could be not entirely necessary, but... do we have enough? I suspect we probably need a few more. Go. Oh, okay, perfect. I think we probably will need at least one more out this way, but we'll cross that bridge when we eventually like finish the construction for this place. So, this is probably the most exciting thing, though, that we've crafted, and I am kind of curious as to how this is going to work. Okay, so... I mean... I would assume that the best thing to do would be to use snapping, but I'm not getting the exact point that I want. Is that even the right position? Yeah, questionable, but... Getting the right angle seems a bit tricky as well. So something like that. I mean, that looks kind of cool. Though I semi-feel like... like it needs to sit a bit further out. Like, I don't know. It's hard to get the exact position that I want. People walking around's definitely not helping. But something like that, for instance. So that's what it would look like if we snapped. But if we didn't snap... maybe something like that. But then I assume, can you then snap to the thing that you've placed down using freeform? That's going to be the tricky thing here. You'd probably have to do another freeform. And it'd be very, very tricky to get things in the exact position that you want. Very interesting, though, that they've added all of this. And I do appreciate them adding it, actually, because staircases can be a little bit bland. But yeah, you could perhaps do something like that. And that could work. And in fact, I might actually keep that for the moment. We do need to craft some more if we're going to, you know, utilize this style. That may open things up a little bit for us, because I'm just not entirely sure if we have the same style of guardrails that we can do that are not diagonal. Because if we can get those, then perhaps maybe we can just open up the space and not have so many walls all the time, and just make it look a little bit more open, if you catch my drift. But anyway, sorry, we're definitely sidetracked there, because we've got more of these bedside tables to organize. So yeah, let's replace some stuff that we've already placed down. So that seems good to me. This one has a stone table, so I don't want to mix, like, yet another stone table in there. But perhaps maybe this one could do with a different one. Although I do like that bedside table as well. Maybe I can take this one, in fact. And replace that one. Yeah, that looks good. And so now we've got a few more bedside tables to work with for some of the other rooms. This one doesn't really need anything. This one could do with one. Could even stack them to create your own, like, shelving unit almost. I think we'll We'll do something like that. Keep going into the bathroom by mistake. We are missing a bigger table in here, I feel. I think I'll do that. And do I want another table in here? I could possibly just give them the polished bedside table. And we do one last nightstand here. Yeah, that looks fine. Okay. Are we done with this space? Perhaps. I think we might be. I've got a few bits and pieces which I'll probably store right now. But I think our main objective has been reached in us trying to house people. No more homeless. So we have eliminated the homeless in a good way. Let's stash furniture we don't need. And I know I did put some of the construction material away, but I actually kind of need that now. If we think about it. So, let me just grab... I can't remember if we're using regular stone, but we do have quite a bit of it. I'll also bring rough stone because I suspect we're going to need to do a little bit of carving. I think maybe that's it. And I do need a little bit of lighting, but I do have more candles that I can just place down temporarily. But yeah, this space definitely needs a bit more lighting. We do have a room here, and do have a room over here as well, which again I haven't really been paying too much attention to. Let me have a look. I think there is an argument to be made to immediately house whatever his name is. I keep forgetting his name. Alden. In that room that is currently doing nothing. I'm just looking for bloody Cade. Always seems to disappear on me.
Yoo-hoo!
Mate.
Welcome, friend.
Stop wandering off. Alright, I'm gonna do a stone bed for our friend Alden. He seems to perhaps appreciate that sort of style. So, and at least very temporarily, we shall house him there. Since the room is, you know, free and doing nothing, we may as well. I assume he still doesn't have a bed? Yeah, he's missing a bed, so... There we go. Alden, you have a home now. Thank goodness for that. Alright, so... There's the matter of continuing our dig over that way. And then there's a matter of also just I mean, well, this is a temporary space for Alden. I do want his main sort of bed slash, let's call it occult research center to be carved out towards the mountain over here. So, yeah, there's definitely a little bit of work ahead of us to try and achieve all of that. So let me get started by just giving us a little bit of light in this space, actually. So I don't have the right materials, I don't think. This is all, yeah, flintstone. So we're gonna need to try and get more flintstone and construct more of the blocks, which shouldn't really be difficult. But what I can do immediately is to use rough stone blocks to continue carving our way into the space over here. So what I want to start with is like a corridor, essentially. And it doesn't have to be like super big or anything like that. I think this is a decent enough length for the corridor. And then we want to carve out like a room in here, and that's pretty much where Alden's going to be hanging around. Maybe even... like, do we even need a corridor that big? Maybe not. Maybe we can even begin constructing the room already. What do we have going on here, actually? We've got some kind of a block. Why hasn't that been removed? I suppose maybe I didn't quite get the right angle. Let me try that again. Yeah, looks good. I think 1 block's worth of length for a mini corridor leading into a bigger room is enough. Don't need anything super big. Let me just double check on what we decided to do for Balthazar, because, you know, it's a similar concept to what we did for his room. In fact, his corridor is super small, And that's because we decided to do a hidden door. I wonder if there's a better way to achieve the same thing. Because what we could do is have the hidden door, you know, and have the opening obviously, you know, meet the size of the hidden door, but then the corridor itself can be a little bit wider. I think that's what we'll try and go for this time around. It's actually night. Let me skip to the daytime. Yeah, because I am kind of keen on doing more, like, hidden doors sort of stuff. And I think Olden appreciates his privacy. He's a bit of a cave dweller. Alright, so let's continue with our carving efforts. Okay, so I guess the other question is, you know, how much space do we need for this room? So it's supposed to be some kind of a lab slash, you know, library research center-y thing, but then we also want him to live in it. So perhaps maybe we need a little bit more space than what we've currently carved out. I also don't want to go too excessive, so is that enough space? I was sort of contemplating, do I go like one more block that way? I don't think so. I think this is the extent of the space that we're going to give him, so we'll enter. The first thing that we'll see is perhaps his, you know, his work area, and then off on this side will be where he sleeps. I think that makes sense. Yeah, I just don't want to accidentally dig to a point where, you know, we're sort of poking towards the outside of the mountain on any side. Because obviously the whole idea is for it to be like a hidden sort of room within the mountain. Brilliant. Okay, so the next things we're going to need to do is to actually place down walls, floors, just trying to think of what I should do first. I think maybe we'll try and sort out the floors, because it should just be taking the same like weathered stone blocks, which we have been using for the recent build as well, so I'm hoping we have a little bit to work with. City wall, not quite. Weathered stone blocks, here we go. So, we've only got 500. I suspect we might need a little bit more. Let's do another 500, and we'll see how we go.
Hey!
So I do want to be a little bit careful with how we place this down. I don't want excessive amounts, although I suppose it's not going to be too bad if... Hang on, are we even getting the right blocks in here? Whoops. No, we're not. Yeah, sorry, I've been using rough stone. My bad. Weathered stone is what we want. Let's try that again. Yes, that's what we want to work with there. So we should try to continue. And it is very hard to see. Perhaps I could do some temporary, like, wall candles. So we can take them down when we do place down walls. Alright, we're definitely getting there. Place just a few more. I reckon we're going to be calling it an episode once we're done with the floor. We'll continue with the walls, I would say, in the next episode. But I have been sort of thinking about the playthrough and the fact that we have been, you know, focusing quite heavily on building and getting people housed. So perhaps maybe even in the next episode we could be pivoting completely away from building and doing some more adventuring, because we haven't really done any adventuring in a while. I think it's maybe time. We have already, you know, completed setting out, or completed the goal of housing people. So I think we deserve to reward ourselves with a little bit of exploration. There we go. Brand new space for Alden. I'm sure he's going to appreciate it. What goes in here is still questionable. I would probably like to think, you know, displays for relics and the like, but also a whole bunch of books. So this is going to be another, you know, occult library, so to speak. Maybe we could even, you know, focus on using some of the stone style, or maybe even some of the other blocks that we haven't exactly been using very often. We could experiment with that to make this place look a little, you know, on the cryptic side, let's say. So that's an idea. But yeah, there's obviously still a lot more work to be done. I think I'm gonna call this an episode here, guys. I hope you've enjoyed this one. Obviously a bit of work trying to get everyone housed, but we are already there. Once again, drop me a like if you have enjoyed it, a dislike if you haven't. Stay true, and I'll see you guys in the next one.